Welcome to Ear Biscuits. I'm Rhett.
And I'm Link. Joining us today at the round table of dim lighting is YouTuber, filmmaker, and really good friend of ours, Joe Penna, AKA Mystery Guitar Man. You know Mystery Guitar Man. We have the pleasure of knowing Joe for many years.
Yes,
we still know him. We're still friends. That. And great guy, amazingly talented, and it was cool to talk to him.
Right, so, and just in case you don't know about Joe, he exploded on the internet with this popular stop motion video back in 2009, Guitar Impossible.
Guitar, as people are like anywhere but the South.
Guitar?
Like you say guitar.
Guitar Impossible. And it's got currently over 15 million views. This kicked off a series of stop motion videos where Joe would play an instrument, almost anything at all really, soda cans, balloons, kazoos, and he would make a stop motion music video out of it. These videos are literally frame by frame, one note at a time, edited together to create a song. Here's a clip of him playing Mozart with root beer bottles via the magic of editing.
You really gotta watch the videos to fully appreciate them. And then when you do watch them, there's a level of engagement that, it kind of comes in waves of, that's cool, whoa, he did this to make that. And then there's like layers of understanding that lead to layers of appreciation of all the stuff Joe does.
And one of the interesting things we talked about is how that appreciation that really translated into millions and millions of views back in 08, 09, 2010 isn't necessarily translating into millions and millions of views today. And we get Joe's perspective on that.
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. I mean, our appreciation of his work translated into us reaching out to him very early, and we talk about this, collaborating on every T-shirt war video we've done, which we've done 2.
Yes, so, all 2 of them.
So from the get-go, he was instrumental in that video for us. But today, you get to hear, and actually for the first time, we got to hear Joe's side of the story of collaborating. You know, I mean, we had exchanged emails, but we met to work on T-shirt war, and there were a couple of facets to his experience that blew my mind.
Yes.
Specifically, a near-catastrophic story involving the footage that we never knew about. So he drops a bomb on us.
Oh, yes, he does.
In this Ear Biscuit.
But it's okay, because it's many years later, so we were able to survive it. But he's more than just a stop-motion madman. His YouTube channel, currently with 2.8 million subscribers, also features a bunch of short films that he's directed. If you consider short films to be 40 minutes long, I guess technically that's still a short film, but he's doing that kind of thing, making very cinematic short films on his YouTube channel. So we talked to Joe about those films, including where he's going with all that, what that is working towards, and what he's got in store in the future.
And of course, we also talked about his backstory, which was super fascinating, including him telling us the really interesting, I'll call it peculiar, I'll just call it that, technique that he developed to adjust to life in the U.S., having moved as a kid from Brazil. So, like I said, we really enjoyed reconnecting with Joe. I know that you're really gonna enjoy our conversation with him too.
But first, we want to remind you that you can download our new album, Song Biscuits Volume 1, one of X fill in the blank. I don't know how many we're gonna make, but there's one right now. 15 songs. You can get that on iTunes or Amazon. Remember, these are the songs that we wrote in collaboration with other creators based on your suggestions through the Twitters and the Facebook sometimes. Here's a clip from one of our favorite songs on this album, the 10-second rule song featuring Nice Peter.
15 seconds of fame, and 5 seconds for that trail mix literally on the trail. Put those rules to shame in 10 seconds.
15 songs, guys. So head over to iTunes and download them. Thanks for supporting Entertainment and for rating and leaving a review on iTunes. Also available on Amazon.
All right, and now on to the biscuit.
First time I rode in an electric car. I'm trying to remember all the things because we go way back.
Way back.
But the first time I rode in a 100% electric car was your car.
Oh yeah. The Tesla Roadster.
Do you still have it?
I don't. I sold it. We moved into, we started renting a place because we were saving up to buy a house.
Okay.
And we moved into this place where it was before the law required people to allow electric cars to be in, hookups, basically. So I couldn't charge my car. And there were no places to charge. And it was the old Tesla. So I couldn't just charge it up in the public chargers either. So it was taking me like 2 days to charge up my car just out of normal outlets.
Oh, so you had to revert.
Yeah, so I had to revert back to my ICE, internal combustion engine. Yeah.
Well,
it's a sad day.
I had to ice it up. Yeah, but
now that you've got a place, are you going to put a charging station and go back?
Yeah, because I have solar panels in my roof.
Awesome.
And it would be super cheap for me to go back to electric. So yeah, I'm gonna wait until the next.
So you have to have a special like converter in your garage to like properly charge one.
If you want to charge it up fast, yeah. Otherwise, it takes like 48 hours for you to charge up.
Oh, really?
And that's not worth it. Yeah.
Okay.
Just out of normal outlets from the wall.
Right.
It's like charging up the battery on your phone if you had 1,000 phones in your car.
But that you rode in the car right after me, right, Rhett, that day? Or did you not get to ride?
I don't know if I actually got.
It was
into
at the YouTube space.
I think I was just there when you started it up, and that just meant getting into it and like pressing a button, and there was no indication that the car was on, and then you just backed up, and I was like, "The future is here! I don't hear anything."
You know what? That's right. I actually didn't ride in your car either. It's just my memory. It was so impactful. That I felt like I was riding in the car.
The first time you stood next to an electric car became the first time you rode an electric car.
Yeah, I just remember being struck with the same thing. Well,
I've
you were
never
standing
owned
right
an
beside
electric
me.
car. It's all in your memory. It's all your fault. No,
you fabricated all of this.
So you also never had a pilot license? Because I remember that too.
I was starting to get my pilot license.
You bailed on that too?
I didn't
Come
bail
on,
on it.
You had a baby.
Really
Don't blame everything on the baby.
No one at the pilot license place recognized me, so it started becoming very expensive.
It's like a mystery. What?
It's like $15,000 to get a pilot license here.
But you've built up some credits that you can then go back
and I did a lot of simulator stuff, which counts towards your hours. But then once the baby came around, my wife was like, "No, you're not allowed to ride a motorcycle or planes anymore."
Oh yeah, I used to have a dream of
you can't ride in a plane anymore,
or little planes.
Little planes, right? Yeah. I had a dream of going up in a ultralight trike, and then my wife gave me the, "You have children.
You have children.
What would happen?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow.
I'm like, you can take care of them. You're fine. I've seen you.
Joe.
Yeah. So Jonah, how old is he now?
He's 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah.
So 9 months into fatherhood, you should know what it feels like by now.
I don't sleep anymore.
But
I wasn't sleeping before, so it's
for
kind
different
of the
reasons,
same.
right?
Yeah.
But you've already harnessed the power of exploiting him for YouTube.
100%.
Let's be honest.
Yes,
Right?
Absolutely.
Like,
every
throw the
video.
Cute baby up there at the end vlog now. It's not. I just don't have to wait around for Joe to start talking about subscribing. Now I got a good reason.
You got a reason, yes,
to hang around, right?
We did a video with him
Jonah.
where I dressed up in a black morph suit and got like little tiny instruments. So basically found the smallest cello that there was, and it was about the same size as an upright bass for him, and found all these tiny little instruments, and then did a video where I'm helping him play along, and it was so
Baby
fun.
band.
Yeah, and
baby band.
And his we were talking about that. The look on his face is that I'm having a great time, and then I was like, this had to happen over the course of a few days, unless you just have a baby that has an incrable
personality.
Attitude.
We do. We got very
I'm
lucky.
sure he's got a great personality too, but attitude's the
If
right
you had
word.
tried that video with Baby Link, it would have never happened. It would have been different for. It would have been funny for a different reason.
Yes.
Every like picture of me as like a kid. Once I was aware pictures of me were being taken like against that like Kmart backdrop. Every single one for like 4
the
years.
laser backgrounds
Was I was like red-faced in tears. Like I hated it. And
Well, that's where Lando gets it
Lando
from.
refuses to have his picture taken.
Lando
It's like,
will not take part in any sort of.
You'd think I was the paparazzi, and he was like John Travolta.
No, you couldn't do that video with Lando now. But it would be a great video if you did it. But it would be like people would think it was abuse.
Yeah,
just a baby crying and
so you're
not
telling
wanting
me
there.
Jonah, that was all like in one shoot
It was
session?
all 3
he was
hours.
happy.
Yeah, he was there for 3 hours. He hates getting his clothes changed, so that was annoying for him. So
and that
by the
took-
end of it, he was like, "I don't want to do this anymore."
But was Sarah like behind the camera?
Yeah,
like
she was
"Look
right
at
next to
me."
the camera. Yeah, all the for a long time we still had the audio from the camera, and it was
Yeah.
just Sarah going, "Look
Oh yeah.
Jonah.
You should have had like a reverse on her and not told her.
This is what it takes.
And just posted that.
To work with a small child.
That's a great behind the scenes.
I was worried
just like
that he
the
was going
mom
to be scared, because I'm wearing a black morph suit. But he was just like laughing at me, and half the time he was just like looking up at me, being like, "What is going on behind me?" Like,
was your face covered too?
Yeah, it was the whole thing was covered.
That would have. You know what? That would have
freaked me out.
Even a normal child would have been freaked out. So you've got something special on your hands.
We do. Yeah.
You have an extraordinary boy. And of course, you named him Jonah so that you could then gift the channel to your JP channel.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Yes. We'll say that again. No, yeah, it was. We didn't realize this until later, but it's half my name, half her name. We Brangelina'd our kid.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
And you didn't even know it?
We didn't even know it, because my name is Jonathas.
Uh-huh.
And her name is Sarah, so Jonathas, Sarah, Jonah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great realization. From now on, you should just say that was intentional.
Oh, yeah, it was totally on purpose.
And we will, of course, it'll be on this podcast.
We were going to name him Brangelina, but my wife ixnayed
that would have been a little weird.
So you're gifting the channel.
Yeah.
Now youtube.com/JP is no longer your second channel.
Right.
It's his channel and mom's channel.
And mom's,
is that really how it's going to work?
Really, and mom's channel, yeah.
But you're basically like putting him to work. I mean, like officially.
He's gotta get to it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's expensive having a baby.
Yeah,
we had to buy cribs.
He's got to pay for himself at least.
He's got to pay for that pilot license for you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, with all this baby talk, let's go back to you.
Let's do it.
As a baby.
Me as a baby.
You as a baby.
Ooh.
Where? Well, you were born.
I was born in Brazil.
More specific.
In São Paulo, in Brazil. Big city. And then we moved out to the suburbs of São Paulo, a little tiny city that I recently went back to visit.
And you've got siblings. I think we met your sister.
My sister, yeah,
North Carolina, but she's younger. So you were like the first kid of...
I was the first kid of three. And then my little brother is in high school now.
Okay, and that's the third three of you guys.
Yeah, that's the three of us.
So you're in Brazil, and what was your dad doing at the time?
My dad was an engineer. He was an engineer. My mom was a school teacher, and he wanted us to have an education here, an American education, to learn English. He was seeing that English was an important thing. He spoke enough to get around, but he's like, if they have an American college degree, they can come back to Brazil and make like 5 times as much money. And, if they speak English, that'll be good for them. So we moved here, at first to Massachusetts.
And you were how old?
I was 11, turning into 12.
Ooh.
So, yeah, a very great time to move.
And so what do you remember about the move? What was your mindset? It's cool that, that a big part of the motive was for you and your siblings,
Yeah.
But how did you feel about it?
I was excited about it. At first I was like, I don't want to move. I've got my friends here. But then, I started thinking about my future. And it was the very first time as a kid, because as a kid, you don't think about your future, The very first time that I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense. This will be good in the long run. It'll hurt a little bit right now. I'll have to lose my friends. I'll have to learn English. I knew 2 words, welcome and balloon, and that was it.
Welcome and balloon.
Oh,
yeah.
You were good at welcoming balloons.
I was, yeah. The welcome balloons, that's where I got it from.
And so how did you, what was the process of learning English like?
So we moved out from that kind of area to closer to my dad's job, which was far away from any Brazilian community. So I didn't know anybody. There was the Spanish kids in school, the Puerto Ricans, a lot of Puerto Ricans in Massachusetts too, but I never fit in with those kind of people or the Americans, so I tried to assimilate as much as possible. I tried out for the baseball team, and baseball isn't a thing that is in Brazil. I didn't even know the rules. There were 24
No
kids.
soccer team? You didn't do that? That would have been the logical choice.
Yeah, I know, right? I never played soccer. That's why I got kicked out of Brazil.
Really?
I was never any good at it, no. So, we tried out. There were 24 people, I think, who tried out for the baseball team, and 22 made it. I didn't play baseball that year.
You were one of the two.
Do you remember the other person?
I do. He was really, really large. He was like, I think over 200 pounds.
Okay.
For a high school student. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was very big. Yeah.
Right.
So I tried to assimilate as much as possible. Like I thought that being American meant being preppy. So I went to like American Eagle and I bought a bunch of preppy clothes and I put them on. And then I got a couple compliments like, oh yeah, nice shirt, man. And then the next day, because I got a couple compliments, I wore the same shirt. And then people were like, wait, no, that's the same shirt you were wearing yesterday. I was like, oh, but I washed it.
It was awesome, like, it doesn't yesterday.
That's not cool today,
It had a big eagle on it yesterday, and it still does today.
And I was the youngest kid in school because I skipped 6th grade. So I double bad for me.
Right.
So, yeah.
In your Draw My Life, you said that you would go to the supermarket and talk.
Malls.
Yeah, you would go to the mall and talk to strangers to
random malls. I would drive out to like malls that I would never go back to ever again because I knew that I didn't know anybody there. And
so we're talking you're 16 by that time. If you're driving
17,
around.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd been around. You'd been in the U.S. for 5-6 years,
for a while,
but
yeah.
you're like, shy. I'm still trying to master this thing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Because it made me very shy. Not being able to talk to anyone, not being able to have any. I was kind of like the loner kid, me and like 3 other guys in school. So like I haven't been back to any high school reunions or anything like that because I didn't have friends really.
But what was the mall technique?
The mall technique, I would just go back to any mall that I would never go back to ever again and talk to random strangers and come up to them and shake their hand and say, hey, I'm a very shy person and I would like to talk to you. Yes, that's it, to talk to you.
This is so counterintuitive though.
Yeah.
To be shy, but to be willing to go to a random mall and talk to a stranger, because that's something that a lot of normal non-shy people would have a difficult time doing.
Yeah, and I figured that was like the hardest challenge for me. And I read somewhere that was like, if you what is it like? It was like, if you're afraid of spiders, just like buy yourself a tarantula. If you're afraid of this and that, I was like, I'm afraid of talking to people. I'm just gonna go and talk to random strangers. And it's Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts. A lot of them weren't very kind,
right?
It's like, what are you trying to sell me, kid? I don't know. Are you trying to rob me or something?
Really?
Yeah, I got a lot of that. But every once in a while, I started learning the little techniques to talk to people. So like when you approach somebody, you don't approach them head on. You don't say, hey, I'm here to talk to you. You kind of approach them to the side and you ask them a question that has a time of, okay, do you know what time it is? Or something like that. Or like, oh, do you know where I can find the Best Buy around here? And then they answer something like that. It's like, oh, do you think that Best Buy or Circuit City is better? And then you start turning in towards the person.
Oh, we know the answer to that.
Yeah, Best Buy went
Not
up.
at the time.
It's like, oh, really? Because I bought this thing over there at Circuit City and I thought that it was okay. And then you start getting into a conversation with somebody. You kind of naturally start getting into it.
But it's so weird because you sound like either like a weird evangelist or a weird, there would be salesmen who, back in North Carolina, I would you would go into the Barnes and Noble and you'd be like, they would hang out in certain places, certain types of salesmen. And you'd be like looking at magazines or books in Barnes and Noble and someone would come up and start talking to you and it would, rest assured, it would be a salesman.
A pitch or something?
It would be a sales pitch.
Like Avon?
Yes.
Really?
Amway.
It was almost
I could have been
always
paid for all this?
It was almost always the
come
Amway
on.
guys.
What's Amway?
Amway uses, they also go by another name, but it's essentially like, it's a pyramid scheme.
You get people
multi-level marketing.
It's multi-level marketing, and I think it covers a wide variety of products. But there's always this initial technique that you're in this conversation, and you're like, why is this guy talking to me in this way?
Yeah.
But for you, it was just because I need to break through my shyness.
At first, a lot of people were like worried that I was going to sell them something. People are like, no, really, what do you have to sell to me? I'm like, no, I just wanted to talk to you about the movies that are going on.
Did it help or did you give up on it?
No, it helped. It helped a whole lot.
So you like became a master of this.
Oh yeah. I don't
you knew
think
the techniques, like the approaches, the Circuit City banter.
The circus. Oh yeah. I don't think that I would be married to Sarah today had I not done this.
You met her in a mall?
I met her at a mall, and
you just sidled up to her.
It gave me the social skills to be able to talk to people, especially women, because I was very, very worried about talking to women because I was like, they're gonna think that I'm hitting on them or something.
Did your parents
use the side projection thing? That's how you
right.
Did your parents know you were doing this?
Side. Yeah, they knew. I told them like I'm gonna go to the mall. But I don't think that they knew that why I was going to the mall.
And talk to strangers.
At length.
Do you think they would have would they have described you as, Joe's working on his, his social skills? Would they have known that that's where you were at the time? Or would they have been really surprised to know that this is how you were kind of treating yourself?
I don't know. I think they were just glad that I was out of my room, because there was like a whole summer that I didn't leave, and I was just on this website, YouTube. Like the entirety of it, I was just there, It was even before YouTube, actually. So I was like, I was in the unitedti.org websites, which was the calculator programming websites. I have like 3,000 posts in one of those websites. I was moderator. I wrote a whole operating system for the TI-83 in assembly.
Really?
Yeah. I was.
And what did the operating system do?
It just you can flash it so that basically it's like, if you took out like the Fire Phone, the Amazon Fire Phone is basically an Android that's switched around to be just Amazon stuff. So I coded Mario levels and Super Mario Brothers and like a lot of, and I started seeing other kids playing it, so it kind of became like my first experience with viral stuff.
You made like
online.
A Mario game on a TI-83?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people could download it from that forum?
From the website, TI Calc, and things like that. I'm sure that there are at least 3 guys out there that are like, oh my God, I play that game.
So how did you, because that was the other thing I wanted to kind of crack open, is, we know the way that you've approached your YouTube career, and it's very technical and mechanical, and there's like a...
methodical.
Yeah, there's an engineering programmer sort of scientific approach. So the way that was kind of coming out as a kid was getting into things like this, like programming the calculator.
Definitely, yeah. And I wanted to, I've heard my videos described as surgical. And it's interesting because I was in med school, and I was about to get into med school, and I was going to be a surgeon. So it's very...
That would be grad school. So just to connect the dots from high school...
Yeah. I went to pre-med in UMass.
Okay, so you moved to Boston.
Yeah. I moved to Boston, and
you took your TI-83 calculator.
I took the 89 at that point, actually.
That's big stuff.
Yeah, it's big stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of calculus stuff.
So 4 years pre-med.
Yeah.
Describe...
I was in a 5-year... It was 3 years for pre-med and then 2 years to get my master's so that I could start right away. And I was taking a lot of extra classes for that. So I didn't have much time during college, to be doing YouTube, which is when that got started for me. But I still did it. I was exhausted, and I would still be like editing videos, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And I realized.
Well, and why did you choose that though? Why did you choose? Become a surgeon? Was there like a family expectation of like, my dad moved us here so that we could be successful, and I feel obligated to do something that's a big job.
Yeah, you hear that, doctors and lawyers and like those kind of things is what you should be, And I saw how much my dad sacrificed, because he used to be an engineer in Brazil, and then when he got here, he would wake up at 3:00 in the morning, deliver newspapers, and then go and work at a pizza place all day, while he was looking for a job. It was 2001, 2001. It was right after the recession because of 9/11 hit and things like that, so he couldn't find a job anywhere. And so, it was tough for a really, really long time when we first got here. So I was like, I got to do something big, so I figured surgeons make a lot of money, right? I'll do that.
Right. So that's kind of where the ambition, you're an ambitious guy to begin with, but the way it was directed was based on that sort of sense of obligation.
Yeah. And plus I love biology too. So.
Yeah.
So, and you had, your dad being an engineer, it sounds like you had that mindset, that ability. You had the brains for this thing. You're making Mario on a calculator.
Small aside here, I did make a Choose Your Own Adventure Merle Haggard game on a TI-82, but it had
was it like a text one?
It was all text. It had no.
It had some graphics.
I started with the basics.
It had a couple of little graphics, like when you had to rescue Merle Haggard from prison because he was imprisoned at one point. And in my advanced math class, the only thing I did was work on this game. At the end of the year, it was on like my calculator, and then I like transferred it to Links, and I had that in college for a long time.
TI-82?
Yeah,
that's a tough one because
I had that
the processing power.
And I had that game on there, and then one of these days, someday, the calculator got lost. But it was no Mario. I don't know. I can't even begin to imagine how you did that.
We didn't know about that website. You could have uploaded it, and it could have gone viral. Probably half as much as Joe's stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of demand from Merle Haggard to prison games.
Yeah,
so the parallel,
T83, Merle Haggard.
So the parallel story of when you're going off to college from like a social standpoint of you kind of this mall regimen of kind of adapting to interpersonal communication.
Yeah.
Where were you at that point? Like going off to college, that had to have been a milestone.
Yeah, I was a lot better then. I was a commuter to college, so I didn't have. It still was difficult for me, we just didn't have the money for me to live there, and it was close enough. It was 40 minutes away, so 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back.
But even you created your channel. You called it Mystery Guitar Man, right off the bat. So it's like you, guitar, glasses, right from the start. So what went into that? There wasn't a pre-med in there.
There wasn't. There was no pre-med Guitar Man.
So
thankfully.
So give us the story of the start of the channel and the glasses.
At the time, there were people who were doing these, like Lisa Nova and Little Loca, who were doing like these kind of what's it called? Characters on YouTube, And I was like, okay, what could be my thing? And I shot my first like little vlog of me just talking to the camera. I think I didn't even put it up. And the iris on my camera was broken, so I had my glasses on. And I did put that one up, yeah. I had my glasses on. I was like, glasses, mystery, so I put in mystery, and that was taken. So Mystery Man, that was taken. I looked around, there was a guitar sitting there. I was like, okay, mystery guitar, that was taken. Mystery Guitar Man, that was the only thing that was
because you had to, it's one of those things, you got to create your username, and then I'm going to do it right now.
Process of elimination.
It was 4:00 in the morning when I signed that up, because that's when I received the welcome to YouTube email. I kept everything, including every single time someone subscribed to me, I can search for that. Yeah.
And then it's been your trademark.
Yeah.
The sunglasses have been your trademark.
Yeah. I wish that Oakley would see that, but it kind of became my thing, because I did a couple of videos without the glasses, and people were like, no, you like put the glasses back on, like you need to keep them on.
From like a branding standpoint, people just liked it.
People were like,
they didn't like your eyeballs.
Yeah, people are like, your eyeballs are weird. Like, put your glasses back on.
But not. Are you just being funny? Or are you being for real?
No, for real. I got those kind of comments all the time.
You'll get all types, I guess.
Yeah. And at the time, I didn't have the thicker skin that I have nowadays. Because YouTube back then wasn't as wasn't hidden by anonymity. It was kind of like a. Everyone was like, oh, I love this video, but everyone was super positive. And then, you get a couple of the mean ones, and that's all you can focus on. Even though there are 100 like, oh, that's a great video. There's one that's like, oh, I see the green screen on the top right at 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Yeah, right.
It's like, that guy gets you.
So you're telling me that you happen to be wearing sunglasses in like a first vlog that you did, but then you decided it wasn't a thing. You just did it.
Yeah, it was.
But then when you didn't do it, people were like saying mean things about your eyeballs.
Yeah, not only that, but not only the mean things, but like, oh, like your name is Mystery Guitar Man, you should keep the glasses on the whole time, and like so comments like that. Not only just mean things, but also
but maybe the mean comments kind of reinforce. Okay, it's like, well,
right, because the mean comments are the only thing you can remember, really.
Yeah. You focus on the one out of 1,000, whatever.
Exactly.
I definitely get that. So it ironically reinforced something that which was good branding advice in some sense. It's because it's not people like things to latch on to.
Plus, it's great for me when I'm at VidCon. If I want to get from A to B from one panel to the other, I can just remove the glasses and I'm a real life Clark Kent now.
You're the opposite.
Except the opposite.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it also, it helps. You're able to monitor yourself constantly with no one knowing.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
That's so useful.
Especially when I've done TV shows where I can just read. Literally, I can just tape a little thing to the screen, and right now I'm looking at you, but I could be looking at him, and no one will ever know.
Yeah. And so then, okay, how did you begin to make that transition into making the kinds of videos that became your hallmark? Like, where did that idea?
Yeah. Well, I started learning more about editing, so I wanted to push editing. At the time, there were a couple people doing like cool editing tricks and After Effects things, and I'm like, I want to get into that, So I started doing videos with clones. You definitely see the seam in the middle because the camera is not, it's in autofocus or whatever, and then I started, okay, what's wrong with this? Like, why didn't this work? And I would search it up and I wouldn't find anything. And I was, okay, so I would try 3 or 4 different things. Literally, my vlogs would take about an hour to shoot, even though they were about 15 seconds, 20 seconds long, because I would say a bunch of things. I'd go back to the edit and I'd be like, I don't know, that didn't work. And I would say a bunch of other things and then go back to the edit. And then I'd get bored and just go, and I was like, okay, I'll just put that in. That's fun,
Right.
And yeah, so it kind of became a style where like I would shave a frame off of everything and see what that sounded like. So you start learning like, okay, on the S's, as soon as you say that's, you can cut. On the O, you got to let that go a little longer, You start learning literally like to the frame editing for the vlogs.
And then you come out with the Guitar Impossible.
Yeah. It was...
there were a few stop motion things before that.
Right, not as fancy.
Like toying with like parking meters.
Right.
Or... things like that.
Right, yeah.
But then this, I mean, that was the big one. Did you know, I think this is going to be a big one?
I told myself that. Yeah, I was working at an editing house at the time. And I was like, stop motion with people. Like, it's been done here and there. There's a guy called Paul versus Steve or something. Like, I forget what it was called. Like, where they're fighting around in stop motion. I was like, that's cool, but there's no musical element to it. Like, I think it'd be cool to do something big. And at the time, YouTube used to handpick videos to go on the front page. Remember, getting featured was like a big thing. Did you guys ever get featured, by the way?
Yeah.
On the front page? I think you guys a couple times, right?
Yeah, that we had...
Technically, the first feature for us was called the Unibrow song.
Yeah, the Unibrow song.
They wanted to feature Rhett's son doing like a rant about a basketball game, Wolfpack versus Tar Heels, but we asked them
not to do it.
To feature something
to feature something else.
that we were trying to do.
Yeah.
That was it's really important back in those days.
Oh yeah, it was huge because that's the front page of YouTube. YouTube is appearing everywhere. Dane Cook talked about it on SNL, and we were like, oh my gosh, Dane Cook talked about it in like real. This is real.
But
now.
were you already in LA at that point?
No, I was still in Massachusetts.
Okay, so you're still in. So I want to make sure that we connect the dots between school and LA.
Yeah,
so you're still in school.
Still in Massachusetts.
And then working on this really ambitious guitar video.
Yeah, and that right before that video, I told my dad, can I take a year off of school? Or 6 months, I said. 6 months off of school because I want to try this YouTube thing out, try this video thing out, And then I got myself a job at making horrific amounts of money. Editing for some guy, off of Craigslist or something. But that gave me a lot of experience in actually switching to Final Cut from Vegas.
What would your dad say?
I thought that he was going to be super mad at me, but he was like, do it for a year.
And then you got that job.
Yeah. And he's like, if you don't do it, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. So there are things like that in my life. Yeah. He said there are things like that I regret in my life that I wish I could have tried. My life would have been different nowadays, so do it.
Yeah.
And what were you editing for the dude that you were getting overpaid?
Just like he was doing like $1,000 music videos and things like that. Just like kind of ripping off a lot of artists back then. And I could see, that they weren't good shooters that he was using. So I would try my best to fix as much of it in post as possible. And to like add a lot of spice to those videos,
And then in your
spare
time, you were hitting YouTube harder, and you had this brainchild of an idea.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna play
Mozart. Yeah. So I do the video, and
So that was video. You played each individual note, and then you would like play it and wait. Move, play it, play the next, pluck the next string.
I had a giant sheet music in front of me where I'd be like, okay, the C sharp is done, and now the D is done.
And you just kept the camera rolling constantly.
It was like 12 hours of video, on DV tape.
12 hours.
Really, 12 hours?
12 hours of video because I would play the same note a couple different positions, a couple different times. Yeah.
And then you had to develop a catalog even to find every note. If you had 12 hours of.
No, I did them sequentially.
Well, that helped.
Okay. Yeah.
So then it was just cutting out all the fat.
Cutting out the fat, exactly. Yeah. And
smart.
then timing it out to the song. So I did it at a BPM where it like 2 frames is a quarter note, 4 frames is.
There's some math involved here.
Yeah, a lot of math involved. Yeah, I wish I had scripts back then for stuff. So I did it all. I finished the video. And I throw in this little snippet at the end where I'm singing Flight of the Conchords, It's business time. time, just for fun, because I like doing that, throwing out
something, yeah.
Yeah. So then I go to sleep, and I put the video up, and I'm exhausted because I'm up for so long, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I wake up, and it has 150,000 hits. And I'm like, 150,000 people saw this. That's incredible.
While you were sleeping.
While I was sleeping. That's like 2 or 3 stadiums full of people, I was amazed. So I had to get to work that day. So I get to work and I'm like, look, 100. And by that time it was like 300 and something. I'm like, look at this. It's blowing up. This is going to work. And we were walking back from lunch and he points at a homeless guy. He goes, listen, man, you stop it with this online crap. Like you have to focus on doing real work. Music videos.
This is your boss talking.
This is my boss talking. Yeah. He goes, you have to do real videos, stuff that's going to go up on MTV and VH1. Because this is just a waste of time, and I was late, so I was like 10 minutes late. That's why he was giving me the spiel. He's like, you're going to end up like that guy if you keep doing this YouTube thing.
And then the guy goes, don't listen to him.
He's like, YouTube.com
is where it's at. I'm on there right now. And he rolls over, and there's a laptop, and he's watching your video.
300,001.
Good job, buddy. I love what you did with this one.
He was a MySpace star, though. So. So that was when I quit. That I finished that day and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it.
That day.
I took a couple extra very good paying jobs.
Right. Okay.
But it wasn't that day. But I wanted to quit that day.
You
so
quit.
It counts.
You quit and then what?
And then I did another video and then another one and then another one. And then I got picked to do this Fiesta movement thing where they give you a car for 6 months. And I moved.
Had you done the video with Toby? Where it was the two,
yes,
you had done that one before that.
Yeah. Where he uploaded half of a video and then I uploaded half of a video.
You play them at the same time.
You hit play on one and then there's a countdown and then you hit play on mine. And then, so like I was playing around with stuff like that. And I had recorded a video and I sent Toby the video and then it's Toby. So he was nuts. He was like jumping all around the screen and he was like coming up to the camera and getting further away.
Because it was a guitar duel where it was timed out where if you play both videos, you guys are playing back and forth, dueling with each other.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But his performance is a Toby performance.
It was a Toby performance and I'm like, and I just look like a zombie next to him, And I'm like, I gotta re-record my stuff. So I kept the audio and I re-recorded all my video where I'm kind of matching his level of enthusiasm, you know? And people are like, oh my God, this is awesome. So that kind of helped me to like kind of be
more
animated.
Toby gave you your stage presence.
Yeah. Toby's manic, what do you call it? Like state of being.
Well, it's funny.
I think we just call it Toby now.
Oh, it's just Toby now?
It's funny though, like when you see yourself, like what were the chances that you were going to literally see yourself next to someone and be able to compare? Right. It's like the perfect recipe for innovating. And then realizing like, okay, I'm going to, and so that's like one of your signature things.
That happened a lot, where like I took you guys' songs and put it into my stuff, and like sounding songs, I recorded a country song that ended up in one of my videos that literally I just was singing what you guys were singing, it was going, it was just supposed to be playing out of the radio,
So
stuff like that.
The Ford Fiesta thing was like a sponsorship.
Yeah. It was a free car, free insurance, free gas. So I was like, I will never have the chance to do this again. So I'm going to drive all around the country. So I would tweet out, hey, I'm in Philadelphia. Who's got a room for me? And someone would tweet back, hey, come to me. And I would follow them. They'd DM me their address. I would show up. Sometimes it'd be creepy.
How creepy did it get?
I got a little creepy one time, but it's all right. It was just a misguided person. It's okay. I was single.
You're the one. You're the one replying to the tweets. Who's misguided?
I know. But yeah, so I would just drive all around the country. It took me about a month to get to LA, and I had about $60 left on me. No, it was $160 left on me.
But the plan was to get to LA?
To get to LA and to see if I could find an apartment. And I was hoping to have like $800, $900 on me. But, there was a lot of cities in the middle of the country that no one responded to. So I had to find like a travel lodge or whatever like that,
Right.
So a friend of mine is in Vegas. He's like, hey, I've got 2 rooms in Vegas. A friend of mine couldn't show. So I've got an empty room here in Vegas. Do you want to come to Vegas? And I'm like, I'm not a Vegas guy, but I know how to live in LA now. So I go to Vegas and I play poker until I get to $900.
What?
Yeah, and
so you started with?
I started 60. With 160. Yeah.
160
or something like, I forget exactly how much. I've looked up because I have a very bad memory. But I go back to LA and I have literally $50 left of me after I pay I convinced the lady to not have me pay my security deposit first and last. I was like, you are one room away from full occupancy in your building. You need to I promise that I'll be good for it next month. I will give you the money. And then
if not, I'll take you to Vegas and we can play a little poker.
Right, I can play a little. I mean, that's how I pay for my college books.
That was your first month's rent.
That was my first month's rent. Yeah,
the $900 that you won. In poker.
I had $50 left. I was sleeping on the floor. I was stealing my neighbor's Linksys Wi-Fi without a password on it. I set up a little extension cord from the hallway into my bedroom so that I can keep editing and things like that and charge up my camera and things. I went to like soup kitchens and...
So you didn't have your electricity was off?
It was off.
And you would just use the hall outlet for your laptop.
I'd be sitting out there.
Where was this apartment?
It was... do you know Chris Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was his like apartment building. He was upstairs and I was downstairs. The video called Looping Around, you can see...
Yeah, okay.
Us walking around that.
I think the first time we saw you in LA. It was you were in that apartment still. You stayed in there a while.
Yeah,
but there was I remember you had electricity.
I did. Eventually I got electricity. Yeah. Well, it was because actually I got an offer from two friends of mine to fly out to North Carolina. It was such a godsend. Like you guys have no clue how much that like changed my life because I was zero. I was down to like negative amounts on my bank account,
and we never knew this. The funny thing is, we did at the time. I mean,
we didn't. I've inferred some of it that like, wow, Joe was broke. In other interviews you did, but even I guess now you're kind of clarifying something that we did not know until this moment.
Oh yeah. I was really really broke. I considered asking you guys for like my bag check fee. I was like, no, but they're doing so much already,
Well, and let's give our side of the story.
Yeah.
I remember we were shooting. We were in Coleman, Alabama. We were shooting the Epic and Honest mobile home commercial, which is one of my favorites that we made. It's like in the middle of nowhere, Alabama, but we're staying in Birmingham, which is a nice place. I remember we were in this nice hotel, and we were. Because our sponsor put us up there. Yeah. And I remember we were having the conversation there and we called you, we got you on the phone by that point because we had decided to do this t-shirt war thing, which we had a t-shirt sponsor on board and then we came up with the idea, stop motion t-shirts, we came up with the idea.
Yeah.
And once it was a stop motion idea, I was like, this guy Joe, he's like, everyone had seen Guitar Impossible and then the other stop motion videos. And even, I was like, this guy does a lot of stop motion. I just feel like we should, he's so committed to YouTube and he's the stop motion guy.
Yeah.
I think when we conferred about it, it wasn't about, well, we can also do that. It was like, we should work with the YouTube guy who's the stop motion guy.
And it was an idea for a collaboration, but it wasn't the way collabs work now, which collabs today are based on just shared audience and growing your audience.
Yeah.
It was legitimately, let's collaborate with someone who's going to bring the expertise to this idea that we need.
We had no clue how to do stop motion.
And also getting Billy Reed
Billy
involved.
Reed was great.
Because
for the drawings.
Yeah, because we
can't draw anything.
Yeah, and he was like, well, Billy can draw it because we had done a few Science Channel collaborations with him, or no, before that, even before that. I can't remember how he made.
This was the first collaboration with Billy too, but we knew Billy from way back. Like him and Justine were like our two YouTube friends through
Rever before
YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, because it was stop motion, it was like, why try to emulate what you do when we could call you up?
Yeah.
So there was like an email exchange, and the first phone call was we were in Birmingham. It was like, man, he talks quiet. I can barely hear him, but he's good at stop motion. That's what I said to Rhett when we got off the phone. And I had no clue. You were in LA. It was like, yeah, he's also in LA. Like, this guy's legit, man. He's totally committed. Like, he's killing it. I had no clue that you were
when
like.
you guys called me, I was literally out, about to go to like a soup kitchen or something like that. because I was that broke. Yeah, and I was like, this a job? Yes. I was so quiet because I was trying to stop myself from crying. I was like,
oh, dude.
Yeah, of course. I'll
we're like, because there was I'm trying to replay it because I remember it was like, well, yeah, you'll have to come out here. And I was like, well, I mean, we'll pay for it. We have a sponsor.
Pay all your expenses to come out.
As soon as you said you have to come out here, I'm like, oh no, I won't be able to afford that. And then you said immediately, the very next thing was, we'll pay you. I mean, there's a sponsor involved, the t-shirt people, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, good.
And this kind of, it's pretty epic what ended up happening. Yeah. You guys come out and we have like basically a couple of days set aside to shoot this thing. Yeah. And in that time of trying to...
It was right before Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. We tried to shoot it and we realized that this is going to be more complicated.
No, all the shirts didn't show up.
That's what it was.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So we were like, guys, I'm sorry. We flew you both out here and it was like Lillington or that basement studio. Mm-hmm. And we like did test shots
right before Thanksgiving,
and then we just kind of hung out.
But my family was there, so you guys like paid for my Thanksgiving flight home
because your parents were moving to Clayton, North Carolina, right?
Like literally 15 minutes from us.
What are the chances?
It's so crazy.
So then you guys flew back. It was like, oh, we'll fly you back around Christmas. I'm like, perfect. Can you fly back for my birthday too?
It really worked out, yeah.
We learned, I mean, everybody learned a lot on that, but we learned like if you don't have all the props and you're relying on someone to ship them to you, make sure the timing works on that.
However, I've got a crazy story about that you guys, I don't think I've told you guys. You remember how it took me like an extra 3 or 4 weeks to get you guys the video? It was because my hard drive crashed. I had two versions of the footage, right? And they were all in these old like Western Digital drives. And I was like, oh, these drives are going out. I need to make sure that this is good. And they're giant files. So I set up an automator thing to automatically move all of the files over because one of my backup drive had died. So I was like, okay, I'll set up that to move it from here to there. And instead of moving it, every single file got deleted.
What?
Literally every single file. So I open it up and it's like that red, like the files are gone kind of thing. And I'm like, oh my God.
It's not like we'll fly out a third time and do that.
Right. It was like the shirts again. Yeah.
It was like crazy to shoot that thing.
It was nuts. It was so meticulous. It was one of the most meticulous things. And I just turned bright white. And I was like, how am I going to tell these guys that I just lost everything? Oh my gosh. They spent so much money flying us out twice. Like, I messed this up for them. I will never work in this town again. This is the end.
So that's why the video is you and Sup Ricky. And
the video is just me being
rotoscoped our faces over it.
Yeah. It's just us going like, oh, it's a reverse shot of me going, that's a great video. Oh my gosh, you should see this. It's perfect stuff.
Well, how did you obviously recovered the footage. You never even told us. It just took you 4 weeks to find it.
No, so I couldn't afford, like I went to some of those like hard drive recovery places, right? And they were like, it's going to be $3,000. And at this point, I'm like, no, my gosh, why? So I started researching on how to do hard drive recovery myself. And I did it. I got all the footage. There were like 20 frames that were missing, or no, that weren't missing, that were like, that had a bunch of weird stuff on the side. So I rotoscoped all that out. And I had to re-edit the entire video again. And that's why it took me, I think it was extra like 2 or 3 weeks.
You edited the video twice.
Yeah. And
you edited it all, deleted it.
Files.
Yeah, I don't remember thinking like, oh, this is overdue or anything. I mean, we had a really good relationship with that sponsor, so I don't remember ever thinking, man, he's taking a long time. So you covered it very well.
I had 2 hellish weeks trying to recover that footage, and like I had drafted an email that said, guys, I'm so sorry, like I will pay you back for this, and like I drafted like a little payment plan to pay you guys back, and I was like, yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is that video ended up doing
really well.
So much for us.
Oh yeah?
I mean, yeah, people who followed our career for a long time know that was a very pivotal moment in which I would say it was like the first legitimate viral video. It was
Pretty nice?
It was the first one that was just
when
like...
you search for stop motion, that was the #1 video for like a year.
Yeah, it's kind of what people knew us for at the time.
Yeah.
You're the T-shirt guys.
I mean, to this day, I still have the
song.
shirt.
And
Yeah.
You had the Facebook song, and you had the.
But this was
big too.
This one that it exploded more quickly, and I swear we came to L.A. before it was finished, because I thought we looked at something, or it might have been the next one we shot.
It was the McDonald's.
It was the McDonald's. That's what it was.
Yeah.
And of course, for all three of us, it led to the agency for McDonald's and Coke.
For me.
Then said
they were just going to copy us.
We're gonna copy you guys and make a commercial. But the agency guy said,
no, these guys are big.
We should ask them to do it.
The same thing that you did with me. Like we just asked this guy to do stop motion. So a lot of the times, that was my very first national commercial, and that was the first time that I was like, I could be a director.
Ours too, yeah. It was like, because we talked them into, we want to shoot it in North Carolina again. We had a bigger studio, and so we shot that there.
Yeah.
So you and Billy came back out, and we went through the whole thing. We made sure we had all the T-shirts before we flew you out. You probably made sure to back up the hard drives 3 times.
I had 6 hard drives that had all this stuff like that too.
But yeah, I mean,
and
that
online.
that was super big. And I remember by the time T-shirt War came out, we got a big push from Ray William Johnson, who we had never met or talked. We had actually met him, but we didn't know we had met him.
Oh yeah, I flew up right after we shot T-shirt War. I flew up to him because he paid for me to go there and help him switch to HD, because everything was switching to HD, and he's very on the button, So he was like, this guy, he does good videos online. A lot of my early stuff was just like you guys, and what he thought was just okay, this guy knows what he's doing. I'll just get him to
let him do
work
it
for me. Yeah, exactly. So I'm doing with the home theater guy right now. Yeah,
exactly.
Just let him do it.
So you were Ray William Johnson's YouTube home theater guy. You went to New York, and you said, hey, you can shoot in widescreen. You don't have to stretch your 4:3. He was doing some wacky stuff with his webcam.
We upgraded his computer. We upgraded his everything, and at that time, T-shirt War came out.
So he gave us a solid.
Yeah, so
he was happy to promote you, and we were along for the ride after the big favor you gave him, which was huge. That was a huge jump too,
right.
when he kind of roasted us with that video.
Yeah.
First time I was publicly called a hipster. I don't even think I knew what a hipster was then.
Because that was his
Until
thing
he
back
called
then,
me
right?
that.
He just made fun of a lot of videos.
Right.
But it was the very first time ever that he was like, this video is so good that I'm having a hard time making fun of it, but bear with me, I'm going to try anyways. Do you remember?
Yeah. That was the way he put it.
So then he was like, okay, so what are we going to do here? Should I link to you? Should I link to them? I was like, at the time, you could hack YouTube so that a video would show up on someone else's main page. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I told them, this will be 50-50, It's it'll show up on my page, but the video's on their channel,
right.
So they'll get the ad money. I'll get the people checking out my stuff. I had no clue. And I'm sorry, guys. You could have had these. I got 80,000 subscribers in 2 days. Yeah.
That's fine.
Nuts. It was nuts.
I think that's fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You didn't tell us about that, but you also didn't tell us about deleting
drive
all of the hard drive.
Yeah.
Right.
But fixing it, so that works out. And then I remember when we were shooting T-shirt War the second time, we were sitting in Cup of Joe waiting for Billy to fly in.
Yeah.
And you were like, guys, I've decided I'm going to start making a video every week.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm gonna do a schedule. It's going to be every week. And I remember thinking, you're crazy, man.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You
I
can't.
did 2 videos a week for, I think,
2
years.
videos.
Two
Was it
videos a
2
week.
videos
Yes.
a week?
Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah.
And
Because
then
after the week my channel really started picking up a lot of steam.
that started after T-shirt War came around the same time. You kind of executed your plan.
Yeah.
2 videos a week.
Mm-hmm.
That were
I started with 1 video a week, and then I opted to 2.
and you blew up.
Oh yeah,
It worked.
It certainly
worked,
wasn't
yeah.
just T-shirt War. That was something. That was those 80,000 subscribers, and but
yeah, but yeah, you're right. I got 1 million subscribers in something like 3 months. It was, or 3 or 4 months. It was.
And what was that time like? I mean, I guess.
And we didn't have as a point of reference, we didn't have her for a while after that. A long time after that, maybe a year or 2 more.
Well, more than that. We didn't
Yep.
get to 1 million subscribers until, probably 2013.
So you just left us in the dust.
Oh yeah, and then you guys left me in the dust after that.
But it was you signed up for something nuts, and you did it for 2 years.
Yeah, what was that time like? Did you turn the power on?
I turned the power on. I started dating Sarah. I
didn't sleep a lot though.
I didn't sleep at all,
given the amount of time that goes into your videos.
Every single night was up to 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. There were a couple videos where my vlogs are like, "Hey guys, what's up?" Thank goodness for the glasses, because my eyes are just super baggy. I still to this day. Where I was exhausted, and there were a couple of videos where I say it in the vlog, guys, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and I've been up for 48 hours. As soon as I hit upload on this, I'm going to go sleep for a really long time. And then I would wake up, 8 hours later and start reading comments and responding to comments, because you can't just put up a video, You need
and then
to...
moving on to the next one.
Yeah.
How'd you meet Sarah, and when did this happen?
There was... YouTube came out with their super secret Google Nexus phone. Right, and they flew us all up to San Francisco. She was working for Philip DeFranco at the time as like his manager, and she, we met there at Google, because I didn't have any people with me. It was around the same time actually that we were doing T-shirt War. It was so that December, I started talking to her and we started dating, and we were like, well, let's never work together. We hear about the horrible things that happen when people work together, right? And we both agreed, yeah. So then she stops working for Phil and she starts thinking about, hey, I think I'm going to start like doing this managing thing, because at the time I had called CAA, WME, all these agencies and management companies, and they're all like, no thanks. Like we're not going to do YouTube, Right. So I was like, there's no manager. She's like, what about if I do it? I'm like, yeah, I think it'd be great for you to do it with other people. So then it was during the McDonald's thing. I was flying there, and I prepped myself. I had the 6 hard drives, and I had like the shot list in my head, and I was like, I gotta like do a really good job. And then Sony calls me. Sony's like, guys, Joe, I saw your videos. We want you to make 11 videos for us. And I'm like, that's nuts. No, that's crazy. That's 11 videos. Like, they go, no, it's not up on our channel. We want to create like a DVD that ships with our new blogging cameras that is like a manual, instead of having like a PDF or something. It would be like a fun thing, like how to shoot cat videos, how to shoot this, how to shoot fun sports videos, So I'm like, okay, cool. So I told Sarah, like, listen, I know we're not supposed to be working together, but if you could just take this one thing, I can't do this call. And I think I remember.
Negotiate for
me. Just like negotiate. And I'm in the middle of shooting this McDonald's thing. I cannot do this. I mean, this is way more important, And she's like, okay, how much would you break even? I was like, I could do each video for like $1,000 or $2,000. So if you get us like 20 or 30,000, like that would be awesome. Like $11,000, $30,000, I could buy a new camera. So she comes back to me. She's like, would you be okay with making 13 videos? I'm like, yeah, for $30,000. I still had the $30,000 in my mind. She goes, no, like, I think it's time for you to start your production company. I got you 110,000. I'm like, oh my gosh. So literally that like area in my life, that time in my life, I bought like
big turnaround.
yeah. I bought a 4K camera. I hired someone for the first time. All that money went really fast, because I poured it all back into doing the YouTube videos, and I bought new editing stuff, and it like to this day, I still have some of the stuff from that era, even though it was like 5 or 6 years ago,
Right.
Because we bought like top of the line stuff, and we were able to make more commercials.
But she was your manager, so you stopped dating.
Well, listen, we stopped dating and got married instead. So.
Yeah, that simplifies things. And then it wasn't
if she's my manager, she's taking 15%. You might as well go into a joint account.
Right, yeah. Let's share this checking account. Yeah. So, and then shortly after that, in 2011, she turns around and founds Big Frame.
Yeah. So she started the Cloud Media before that.
Okay.
And then, she found a partner. They switched the name to Big Frame, and then eventually they sold to DreamWorks. So
right.
So that was huge.
Well, like $15 million huge.
Something like she didn't get $15 million.
But that's what the company purchase price.
That's what the company. Was. Yeah. So a lot of the investors got their money back first. But yeah, we got a good, nice chunk of change for that, which made us be okay with buying a house here in Los Angeles,
which is not an easy thing to do.
Right.
We're all learning.
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, and I want to talk about that, how this lines up, because
this is the most I've ever talked about money. Just so you know, like every single interview that I've ever done, like they said, "Do you have any stipulations?" And if it's a TV thing, we're like, "Don't talk about money." But it's like
well, the sale is public knowledge.
Yeah, it's all public knowledge.
Even in terms of like the Sony gig, it's like we didn't have a point of reference. I think the thing that Sarah brought was just a power of a point of reference.
Exactly.
That it wasn't.
None of us knew how much what we were doing was worth.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knew, and everyone was undervaluing it.
$1,000
Everybody was undervaluing it.
Every single person. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even after that T-shirt war, once we paid you guys and the travel stuff, we probably made like $2,000 off that video pocketed.
Right.
It's like no one knew what to do.
Yeah.
But a really interesting thing has happened. I mean, like that's a major part of your story too, is that the success that you experienced in kind of moving and trying different things.
Yeah.
But YouTube has changed a whole lot.
It has.
And it's interesting when you look at your videos today, you're making videos that are as high or really higher quality than you ever made in 2009 and 2010 and 2011. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But the audience has changed so much that a video, like your recent videos, like, the yarn animation video, that video would have gotten a few million views 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And Rubik's Cube animation, how many Rubik's Cubes?
Like 1,200 different Rubik's Cubes, 1,300 almost,
How many solutions? Like over 1,000 different permutations.
I don't know. Hello?
We're getting a phone call.
There's a phone in
never
here?
happened.
Well, so I knew that you were going to ask that question. I had a guy call me with all the math. I don't know. I mean, if you do the math on that video, I mean, it's in millions, for sure.
But there's this principle that is involved in all your videos, which is I'm going to put a bunch of time and effort and thought and planning and execution into this thing to create this.
Yeah.
And half of the enjoyment of your videos is appreciating or trying to appreciate what exactly happened. Yeah. And that's why T-shirt war ended up working when it did, because if you just show it to somebody and they don't stop and think, they're just like, it just washes over them. But at the moment that you can see it in somebody's eyes when they're watching that video, when they understand these guys changed T-shirts
every single time,
over 200 times.
Yeah.
That's how your videos work. There's a moment where you get it,
right,
and then you appreciate it. And 3 or 4 years ago on YouTube, that translated into an amazing viral potential.
Yeah.
Why is that not happening now?
I don't know. I don't know the reason why. I mean, one reason, of course, is because of volume. There's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of really well-produced stuff out there. So it's tougher to like poke through, the massive amounts of people and crazy amounts of hours that are being uploaded. There's also been a younger audience coming in, which are more interested in personalities, so cult of personality. So I think that's another thing too. But for me, I've been asked a lot of times, like, how do you get big on YouTube? Like, how do you do it? It's like, if you're asking that question, you won't, because you're not doing what you love. And it sounds so cliche. And you read about it in like self-help books and things like that. But it's so true. It's that if you're not putting every single amount of effort that you can into every single video, then at least for me, I'm not getting the enjoyment out of it. So it'll be clear that I won't be getting the enjoyment out of it. Some people are perfectly content with just doing a daily vlog, or something like that, and it's fun for them. I just don't get that out of it.
But how do you apply? How do you deal with the fact that an amazing Rubik's Cube stop motion video that would be a 2 million view video is a 400,000 view video? Mm-hmm. I mean, how do you interact with that?
Yeah, it's
just for yourself.
I'm not gonna say that it's not like it doesn't affect me at all. Of course, it'd be like, oh man, I just think that, it's like, this would have been 2 million hits 2 or 3 years ago, when there weren't that many people on the or like when this was brand new. Oh well, on to the next thing, So I would still be doing it literally if I would just post it and it didn't even hit 301 plus, Mm-hmm. I would still be doing it because for me, it's what I get out of it is making the actual video, and if I just wanted just to make money off of it, and and if it was a views or fame kind of thing, I would have stopped a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I would have gone into production, by just making videos as a production company, you can make a lot more money than just doing YouTube. Trying to like make YouTube videos. Sometimes,
But your strategy is shifting. Well, maybe strategy is not the right word.
Yeah. My approach.
Your approach is shifting.
Yeah.
Is it independent of performance, and is it just because of where you want to go next, and what is that? Yeah,
it's independent of performance. It's well, I won't say it's independent completely of performance. On videos, it made it a good time to shift because I've always wanted to get into narrative. Yeah. To make movies, to make TV shows, to make stories, and to really, I've always been on camera as a necessity because I didn't have money to pay actors, so I've always wanted to direct a movie, and now, I've slowly been working towards it. I started with Meridian, which is my first short film, and then it's something called Instant Getaway, and then I was like, let's make an entire reel of a movie, which is 40 minutes, so I made a 40-minute short film, all that were, a lot of it was self-funded. I worked
40 minutes is a what? Is a reel of a
reel,
movie?
Yeah.
I haven't heard that, meaning it's it's not a movie because it's 40 minutes, but it's not a short film because it's not short.
It's technically a short film, yeah. A reel is what they used to use for projections, so like you can fit 40 minutes of a movie into a big reel, and then there's like a little flash on the screen, and then it switches to the next reel where one
But
stops.
if you can make a reel, you can make a movie. It is
you've made a third of a movie. Yeah. It's a good practice for me to make a movie.
And I saw an interesting comment at the top of it. The question on that one was, are you building a cohesive sci-fi universe? Like between Meridian, Instant Getaway, Beyond?
Yeah.
And you were like, you're on to us. Were you being facetious, or is it cohesive?
No, it is. Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, there's the same company, the same kind of
characters?
Not the same characters, not the same stories, but there's definitely the same company. Cypher is the same one. We have so many things hidden in Beyond that are for the next thing that we're making. So I want to.
So it is a cohesive. It all makes sense together.
Yeah, enough where it's like a spin-off almost.
So what is the next thing?
Well, the next thing is going to be a movie. I'm calling it Redshift. And that's just a working title.
Redshift?
Yeah, I haven't told you about this, Link. I am the lead, and it's me driving a stick shift. It all takes place. It's like that movie with what's his name in it that all takes place all in the car.
With Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. It's
Locke.
just like that. It's just like Locke, but it's me and it's a stick shift. It's me trying to figure out how.
And he doesn't know how to drive a stick
and
shift.
And I burn the clutch out. Like the conflict is I burn the clutch out.
So he's got to push the car.
Yeah, and I push the car, and then that's it.
And then there's an explosion.
A lot of special effects.
Oh, there's an explosion.
A lot of it. Yeah, it's mostly.
It's actually called Rhett Shifts.
Yeah,
it's not Rhett Shifts.
It's all shot in a green screen too. Yeah.
Well, we're very excited about it.
Yeah. It's the first time that we're talking about it here.
Okay, Redshift.
Oh, that's what it is.
Like the Big Bang.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're going to be shooting up in Detroit. So I think
post-apocalyptic, huh?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
AKA Detroit.
AKA Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. Have you been up there before?
I know, but some people are listening to Detroit and they're like rolling their eyes right now.
Of course, we get all the post-apocalyptic movies shot here now.
I mean, it's incredible up there. I've been doing like some digi-scouting is what I call it. We've paid a couple of photographers to go out and take pictures, but I'm walking around with Google Street View.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this, but on the top left, you can like switch around. There's a little slider that says historical views. So you can go back to like 2009, 2007 when they started doing it with crappier cameras.
Yeah.
And like you click on 2009 and, it's beautiful neighborhoods and lush lawns and things like that. And then you move on to nowadays and it's just like trees growing through houses and like totally forgotten and entire neighborhoods that are just giant blades of grass growing and stuff like that.
Really?
And it's perfect for the movie that we want.
So when do you shoot?
I'm hoping to shoot this year before winter.
Are you self-funding this too, or
no? This one is a lot more expensive, so I'd have to like sell a couple houses or something, So do
you have a partner? Or are you getting sponsors? Or
yeah, we have a producer that's attached, and now we're looking for financiers, and we have 2 financiers that are interested. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to announce something soon.
Well, keep us posted.
Yeah,
man.
that's exciting.
Definitely, yeah.
And thanks for giving us this story. And it was cool to have a part in it. I didn't.
You guys have no clue how big of a part you had in my life. Yeah, it was huge.
I'm kind of floored by that. You know, it played a huge part, and you played a huge part in our career too. So it was just it was a confluence of things. So
it was
not
a true collaboration.
It's certainly not a you're welcome. It's a wow. Well, it was for us too. So
that's great.
That's cool.
We just need Billy Reed in that seat over
I know,
there.
right? It'd be like a big reunion.
All right. Well, we could wait, but I don't. We haven't made any phone calls.
You could just find a spot to do an amazing Mr. Guitar Man signature.
All right, cool.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
And there you have it, our ear biscuit with Joe Penna, aka Mystery Guitar Man. Let him know how you feel about this ear biscuit, or just what you think about it, what you think and feel about it. His Twitter is Mystery Guitar M, because you couldn't fit Mr. Guitar Man. Apparently that's too long. Mr. Guitar M, Mr. Guitarm.
He might could have fit Mr. Guitar Ma, but that's probably someone else. That's right. That's his ma.
Let him know.
That's his mom's Twitter account.
Hashtag ear biscuits, and remember, we appreciate your reviews on iTunes.
I feel like the tables were turned a little bit in this ear biscuit. You know, we were surprised by a number of things, and I just want just kind of recap those and hear your thoughts, Rhett. One, the hard drive story, but two, just the fact that he was appreciative to us for being instrumental in helping kind of set him on his career path.
Well, I didn't realize. We didn't know what position he was in at the time that we asked him to do this. We were like, well, this guy moved to LA. I mean, when YouTube moves you to LA, that means you've made it, right? That was what we thought. And little did we know that he's literally taking power from the outlet in the hallway and in there with nothing but a computer in his apartment. I mean, I don't know if we would have done anything differently, if we had known that. But it's just weird that we had no idea that he was struggling and that this was like a really big opportunity. We were just like, this guy's great at this. We need him in order to make this video good, and this would be cool to collaborate. And
so I'm flattered that he wanted to tell us, hey, you guys were more instrumental in my career than you even appreciated or knew. And like I said to him, that goes both ways. T-Shirt War had a tremendous impact on our career as well. I mean, there's people who still come up to us today.
It's kind of it's the trademark video for a lot of people, and was for a long time for everybody.
I remember when we were in LA for something, and then some kids who were visiting from Saudi Arabia recognized us and came up to us. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And they were talking about T-Shirt War, and that was just the first international fans that we ever met.
Because even though those people spoke English, you didn't have to understand English or have any cultural reference in order to appreciate that video. So yeah, thank you, Joe, for doing that for us.
Yeah, and certainly there were his success rests on how great his work is.
Right.
It's not that we gave him an opportunity. Yeah. It was just a collaboration.
Well, and thank you for somehow recovering that footage.
Oh man.
Which, I do remember now, my memory of that time, because it has been years now, my memory of that time is pretty foggy, but I do remember there being a little bit of a delay. We worked with a really, an easygoing sponsor, so they weren't like demanding that it be done. And I was just like, oh, this must be taking a while. I remember thinking it was taking longer than we anticipated, but it wasn't like there was a deadline. So I don't remember getting panicky or anything. There was a little bit of
asking him about it,
wondering why we're not seeing anything. But he was just like, I'm working on it. And we weren't, it wasn't.
I'm working on recovering that it even exists.
Right. And I'm kind of glad he didn't tell us.
What good would it have done?
Nothing.
Well, we probably would have paid for the recovery fee. I think that's what would have happened.
Oh, yeah. I'm definitely glad he didn't tell us.
It probably
because that would have been all the profit from the video going to recovering the.
That's true. But it would have. How many years were knocked off Joe's life in the panic zone of trying to recover that data?
Well, that makes a more epic story.
I don't want to.
That's what you should remember.
On that.
That's what you should remember when you're going through something difficult. Is that. Maybe this will become an epic story on a podcast someday.
All right.
Does that give you hope? Your biscuits here?
I'm going to carry that into the next bad thing that happens to me. And you know what? You guys do the same. Maybe you don't have a podcast, but maybe there's something that you have
You have a story.
Yeah, like a friend.
Yeah, just tell your friend.
Someone who can hear your story. Or not. I'm just trying to help you out.
Or
here.
just talk to yourself. A lot of people do that. You can talk to yourself in the mirror.
This will be a good story to tell myself when this is over with.
All right, we'll be back here and you keep talking to yourself.
It's better to have a good story than a good time. Debate that amongst yourselves. We'll talk at you next week.